I have two sons, Matt 32 and Benjamin, nearly adult. Matt is my stepson, my wife's bio son, and Benjamin is my biological son. He and Matt are not close due to the age gap and because they don't live in the same house, but they're cordial to each other. Matt is married and he and his wife have infertility issues that they've been struggling with for years. Benjamin is known for his sense of humor, but I don't think he's funny. He's focused on making comments about / teasing Matt and his wife, such as I don't know what it's like to have a niece or nephew, and probably never will. Or, the age gap between me and y'all makes people assume I'm your son. It's hurtful for Matt, so I told Benjamin to tune it down, but to no avail. Last week we celebrated Matt's birthday at my house. Matt is like a happy child when it comes to presents. He liked all the gifts we got him, except Benjamin. Benjamin brought a gift and handed it to Matt. Matt said, "Thanks, I appreciate the effort." Benjamin said he could open it, and Matt quickly unwrapped the gift and revealed a red t-shirt with the words, "Best Dad Ever" on it. He and his wife looked at each other. I felt terrible. I kept shaking my head as Benjamin laughed, telling him to try it on so everyone could see how it looked on him. Matt and his wife were upset. My wife and family were silent. I got in an argument with Benjamin as Matt and his wife got ready to leave. Benjamin acted dumb when I asked him what was he thinking, pulling this stunt and offending Matt like that. He said there are literally thousands of people wearing t-shirts that say a lot of stuff, and that in no way means that they insult the person wearing them. And it's not like every t-shirt people wear has to be accurate with their life. I replied that no matter how we tried to spin it, giving Matt the Best Dad Ever t-shirt, knowing he's struggling to become a dad, was tacky at best and cruel at worst. I then said because of what he did, I'm canceling the dinner reservation for his 18th birthday in 2 months' time, and he lost it, saying he was just teasing Matt and it wasn't a big deal. He tried to negotiate, but I shut it down. He called his uncle and aunt, who treated him as their son and made excuses for him. I argued with his uncle after he said I shouldn't cancel Benjamin's birthday dinner over a teasing gift, and that it wasn't his fault some people are hypersensitive and can't take a joke. I refused to discuss it after many more family members asked me to let it go and told them they were free to host his birthday instead. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm glad you're not tolerating his humor. Your son is upset over infertility issues, and from personal experience, infertility is an expensive and emotional roller coaster. Getting him that gift was insensitive, and I'm glad you called him out for his behavior. He ruined his stepbrother's birthday, so now he's reaping what he sowed. A punishment 2 months away? This horrible action needs immediate and severe repercussions, in addition to canceling his birthday celebration. Anything of value needs to be stripped away from him now. His phone, grounding, whatever. Geez, this kid needs some serious help. I'm curious, what are his friends like? Does he bully other people in school as well, or just his stepbrother? He needs to understand by whatever means necessary, and if he can't, well, that's a whole other psychopathic problem. Not the idiot, but only if you shut that crap down every single time, now, and don't offer to let other people host his birthday. You are the idiot. What your son did was wrong, and he deserves to be punished. However, I don't understand why you aren't punishing him immediately by taking away his phone, electronics, or grounding him. Instead, your idea of appropriate punishment is to wait 2 months and then not celebrate his birthday with him? Did you ever think Benjamin may be acting out because he feels jealous of Matt? Do you happen to have a close relationship with Matt? It doesn't excuse what he did, but he is still your son, and I can't imagine not wanting to celebrate the day my child was born. So my wife's friend has a wedding coming up this Sunday that is a few hours away from where we live. The bride is a close friend of my wife's from college, but I've only met her a handful of times, and to be honest, she kinda sucks. So when we RSVP'd a year ago, I wasn't exactly thrilled to be traveling 3 hours and spending hundreds of dollars for someone I don't even really like. The other thing is, when I RSVP'd a year ago, the NFL schedule wasn't out. I know that sounds silly, but this is a special week in sports history for anyone who follows football because Tom Brady is returning to play the New England Patriots. I won't get further into the drama, but suffice it to say, this game is monumental and will be literally historical. This is a once-in-a-lifetime game for any football fan. especially for a diehard Patriots fan like myself. I can't miss it. To be honest, I forgot about the wedding day until a few weeks ago, and when I realized the date, I was devastated, but I didn't know how to approach the wife. I knew it would look bad, so last week, I reached out to her gay best friend Tito and asked if he had any plans for this Sunday. He didn't, and was actually thrilled at the idea of accompanying my wife as a +1 because he loves dancing. So I floated this to her, and she flipped her lid. She told me it was rude and disrespectful, and downplayed the game's importance just like I knew she would. I told her Tito was happy to attend, but she just gawked at me and then started crying. I know I look like the idiot here, but am I? I'm not friends with the bride. My wife is. And watching Brady growing up has affected my life more than the bride ever has or ever will. I also get that bailing on the wedding cost the bride and groom money, so I went out of my way to find a replacement to prevent that. I told my wife she could tell the bride I was sick, and nobody's going to question that these days, but she's still livid. So, am I the idiot, or am I falling victim to a belief system that simply views football as a stupid game and nothing more? Like I said, this game is once in a lifetime, something I tell my kids about. Edit, I'm not going to the game, I'm watching it on TV. You are the idiot. It doesn't matter how much you like this friend of your wife's or how well you know her. This is part of being married. You go to events because you are a good partner, not necessarily because you want to go yourself. I'm a huge football fan too, and while this game is historical, it's still just a week 4 regular season game. If you want to see it, then record it and watch it later. There is nothing about it that will be spoiled by not being able to watch it live. He says it's once in a lifetime, one he'll tell his kids about. The irony is, his kids may not care about football. I believe that your word is your bond. You agreed to one thing, and you're trying to bail on your wife because something better came up. You are letting your wife down for something you can record and watch later. And if you're so concerned about social media ruining the results, stay off social media. You are the idiot. Is Tom Brady going to give a crap about you missing the game? No, because he doesn't know who you are. You committed to your wife, and now you're upset that the wedding happens to be on such a monumental day? You can miss the game. You simply don't want to because of your view of this friend and her wedding. Well, guess what? This isn't about the friend or her wedding. It's about your relationship with your wife. Also, it's pretty sly of you to get Tito excited for the wedding before even discussing this with your wife. Yes, you don't look like an idiot. You just are the idiot here, and you appear to see that already. You are the idiot. Dude, I like football too, but this whole situation has nothing to do with football or your wife's nasty friend. It's about your wife and your relationship with her. You committed to spending time with your wife that day, so what you do is completely irrelevant. Dude, you better man up and go to your wife's nasty friend's wedding and sit there with a huge smile on your face, looking like you're having the most fantastic time of your life. Not for you or for football or for your wife's friend, but for your wife, because you love her and want her to be happy. I have 2 cousins from my Aunt Jean. Kira is a young teen and Allison is a tween. Kira has always been ostracized in the family and never knew why. The truth is, Aunt Jean slept with her sisters, my Aunt Lulu's husband, John, and Kira is the result. The only person truly suffering because of this is Kira. Jean still shows up to all family gatherings. John is still married to Lulu. Lulu doesn't speak to Jean, but the rest of the family does. But the one person who gets nothing out of the family is Kira. Of 13 cousins, I am the only cousin who speaks to her. Some of those cousins are Kira's half-siblings, and they know about her. Allison also speaks to her, and they're close. And Kira has been let alone and left out of stuff for as long as I can remember. I was told about Kira aged 5 when I asked why she didn't get anything for Christmas. My dad said everyone did it out of respect for Lulu, who was deeply hurt by the affairs. Even then, it made no sense to me, but that stuff is normal to the rest of my family. My grandma's sister turned 90 3 weeks ago, and we were all at my grandparents' house to celebrate. Yet again, Kira was left out, so I hung out with her and Allison when Allison wasn't being pulled into stuff by Jean. Kira got really upset because some people ignored her when she said hi, which confused the heck out of her why everybody hated her so much. She said her mom would never tell her anything, and she wished she could know. So I told her. I told her none of it was her fault, but adults are crappy, and the family should never have taken it out on her, that nothing that her parents did should have made her suffer. She was broken, but she told me she was glad she knew. She confronted Aunt Jean about it, which is when it hit the fan. Everyone said I had no right to tell her. It wasn't my place, and at my age, also nearly adult, I might be young, but I should know better. The worst part, and what makes me feel worse, is her anger made everyone say what a selfish brat she is and how she should understand the pain Lulu and Lulu's kids feel. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot at all. You probably lifted a weight off of her shoulders. Now she can live her life knowing her family is a bunch of idiots who are blaming her for her mom's mistakes. That family is toxic. I would get out ASAP. That is literally just awful. The entire family agreed to scapegoat the child? I hope Kira grows up to be vastly successful. Not the idiot. No offense, but what is wrong with your family? Did they expect this to just be a secret forever? So John was okay with having a daughter that he never acknowledged and that everyone treated like crap? Screw those idiots, and screw that guy in particular. And if everyone wanted to act like Kira is a brat for being mad, I'd probably be a bigger brat, just for contrast, and get right up in everyone's faces about it. John sees her as a mistake. He's never had a relationship with her, so he stays away from what I see. Lulu wanted it to be a secret, so Kira could never try to interfere in the family they built, and so everyone went along with it, because man, can my aunt cry. Not the idiot, but how can a family be so full of crap? You did the right thing and told her why none of the family except you treats her like a human being. Her mother should have told her, protected her from the rest of the family, or gone no contact with them. This whole we are still part of the family crap she's trying to do just damages her kids, and she either does not see that or care. So I'm catching crap for this from a lot of people in my family. So much so, I'm thinking of caving so that I can stop hearing it every other day from someone in the family circles. Anyway, so my daughter just turned 18. I promised her I'd pay for half of whatever car she could pay the other half of outright. No leasing, no payments. It's how my dad did it, and it caused me to have a far more realistic car ownership experience. When I turned 18, he signed over his half of the title to me, and I got a new title that was just mine. I planned to do the same with my daughter. She agreed, she got a car, and the paperwork reflected we were both owners, and when she turns 18, I plan to hand it over fully. Now, don't get me wrong, I trust my daughter a lot. Fully, you could say, since I was surprised by the behavior that caused me to do what I did. But last week, I heard through some friends, who, unfortunately for her, ratted her out to me, that she saw my daughter fender bender a parked car and leave the scene without leaving a note or any attempts to talk to the owners. Just a note, I've already contacted the person and offered to pay. They were nice enough to say no harm, no foul. The damage was to a beater they owned for years, so all in all, no big deal. Everyone's whole. But I'm not happy with my daughter's behavior. I didn't raise her to be dishonest or to react out of fear of consequences. I understand the feelings she probably went through, but with a vehicle comes a responsibility that she needs to learn now instead of later when it becomes an acceptable habit. That being said, I removed a necessary component from the car that makes it entirely unable to drive. I was honest with my why, and my daughter seemed surprised I knew what happened. My wife, unhappy, thinks I went overboard. I said all you have to do to get the car back is go to the person you wronged and apologize and offer to pay for the problem. But she's refusing, and she's holding her ground, so I plan to as well. At 18, I'll be truthful to my word and sign it over fully, put the part back, and pay for any issues, but she won't be able to drive it until then. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I think it is a fitting punishment. It is worrying that your daughter doesn't seem to understand what she did wrong. What will happen if she gets into a more serious accident? She needs to learn how the responsibilities that come with being a driver. Yes, it is partially her car, but also she's your daughter, and you're basically grounding her. Not the idiot. I was in the other person's shoes more than once. It sucks to have your car damaged and no note or anything. She needs to understand this lesson now when she's still learning to drive. She's been driving for about a year, right? That's nothing. She has a very clear route to take to get her car back, and it's to apologize. It's not an impossible request. You are the idiot. I got into a fender bender and left the scene while on my parents' insurance, while the title was in my parents' name. They didn't take away my car. They forced me to face it. I had to apologize to the gentleman and pay the fine. Why isn't she paying then? By taking her car, you're showing that you don't trust her. Did you ever ask her side of the story or your wife? Yes, her actions need consequences, but you just put the burden on you and your wife. I got married 4 months ago, and we were very fortunate that my father-in-law allowed us to host the wedding at his ancestral home. The property and surrounding area are stunning, so perfect for a wedding. Now my friend Amy asked me to ask my father-in-law to use the property for her upcoming wedding. The problem is, I don't want to ask him. Amy is marrying my husband's cousin, James, who she met for the first time at my wedding. She's pregnant, and they assumed this would appease both her and James' conservative families. Unfortunately, it hasn't had that effect on my in-laws. They're so beyond furious over this engagement and have been trying to convince James to break it off. Honestly, there has been so much drama over their engagement, and I don't want to get involved. His mother already tried to blame me once. She's been begging me to ask, since she's under so much stress and is having difficulty planning a wedding, especially finding a venue in such a short time frame. She should ask James to ask him since he's the uncle and not me. Amy is furious with me because she thinks my father-in-law will say yes if I ask him, but it would be a no for James. Honestly, she has a point, but I still don't want to ask. Am I the idiot for refusing even to ask? Oh my God, no. Just stay out of it. This sounds like a train wreck in slow motion, and you are very sensible with this decision. You are sensing multiple attempts at manipulating and pressuring you, and you are quite rightly resisting. James is related. He's the only one that should ask. Not the idiot, and I don't care if she has a point, not your problem. They met for the first time 4 months ago. She's already pregnant, and they're rushing to get married? This does not feel like slow motion. This sounds like a messy situation that OP should stay out of. And if God forbid they break anything, trash anything, start throwing couplezilla tantrums, etc., you won't want to be involved. If the family isn't too fond of this couple, or Amy, why would she even want to get married at their home? My pride would lead me to elope before I asked anyone who disliked me for a favor. Not the idiot. You're right. It's for James to ask, not you. Does your friend think if she has her wedding there, it'll magically make James' family accept the marriage? But I seriously need to know how you get the blame for their pregnancy. Let me guess, you introduced them, so it's your fault? What happened was, when we got invited to dinner by James' parents, James arrived late. But before he got there, they were having a family meeting about what they were going to do about his engagement. They kept saying horrible things about Amy, and I had enough, so I defended her. And his mother said it was my fault that they even met, and that I had probably planned it with Amy from the start, that I probably encouraged her to get pregnant, and that she never thought I was one of those types of girls. But clearly, she had been wrong. She probably would have kept going if my husband and father-in-law didn't tell her to stop. I think Amy just liked the venue. On the day of my wedding, she told me she wanted her wedding there too when she got married.